On today's show, we will talk about some problem children of rock and roll and why they'd not get made today as we get into our You Can't Do That on Television episode of Six Picks Music Club. Welcome to Six Picks Music Club, a music podcast for people who are glad social media didn't exist when they grew up. Hey, listener, welcome back for a brand new episode of Six Picks Music Club, the music podcast where each episode we pick 6 songs based on a theme. Thank you for being part of the show and listening to each new episode every other Wednesday. We are on all your favorite podcast platforms, so tell your friends and help us grow the show. Like, subscribe, give us that 5-star review, drop us a note in the comments when we get things wrong. You could share our social media stuff too, so follow us there and send that shit to the world. I'm Dave, and with me are 2 dudes who definitely got their mouths washed out with soap. We got Russ and Jeffro, my guys. How are we doing this week?
Heyo! I'm good. Jeff, how are you?
I didn't get my mouth washed out with soap.
No, you never cussed in front of your parents and were washing your mouth out with soap?
I didn't grow up in A Christmas Story, so I was fine.
Okay.
Okay, so I thought that was just story stuff too, but I had an aunt
Really?
who did that to my cousins.
Okay.
That stuff was nasty. I'm like, oh my God.
I bet Dave, you had to do it, didn't you, Dave?
100%, man. I got it wasn't even the bar of soap. It's like mom squeezed the liquid soap from the little thing into my mouth, and I just sit there with it. And I was like, gross.
Gross.
What
Did
is
you
the
get to spit
purpose
it
of
out,
this?
or did she make you swallow
yeah,
it?
but you still have soap mouth. It's
And
still
she was do you spit or do you swallow, little dirty boy?
That's exactly what she said. That's exactly what she said.
Yes.
And to this day, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
I don't know, Mom. I don't know what I do.
Did you get that? The low
what
angle, with the wide angle lens. And
Lord.
she's screaming
And then you slurp it back up or whatever. Well, it's an incredible intro, as always. My goodness. We did get some comments on the last episode about having too much ejaculate talk in the first 5 minutes, so we might push pause on this one, and just let's get the doors open. Jeffro, do we have a password to unlock the clubhouse today? What do we got?
Oh, me so inappropriate.
Yeah, there's a couple of pieces of inappropriateness today, and let's dig in. So come on, listener, come on in. Let's find a seat.
Hey, I think Jeff should tell his story about his trip to NOLA.
Yeah, so my buddy, let's call him W, who's a new dad, was out there hanging out with this guy, Boyd, Boyd, who lives in Alaska now, but they snort ketamine before we go out.
As new dads do. Yeah.
I know, and I had no idea. And so there, I didn't know anything about it. I couldn't tell. It's not like I was asking questions. And we get in there, and there's this menacing dude that's wearing a shirt that says 1% on it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a militia.
The 3%ers are a militia.
That's the 3%ers. But then I was like, the 1% are probably like the 3%, but they think they're even better. And so I just extrapolated that this guy's also in a militia.
Nice.
And it also has something in a Latin-esque language on the back that's Semper Fidelis or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a Marine or a militia. I don't know what, but
he's the top 1% of the 3%ers. He broke off. He's more extreme.
That is a high percent. If you're the top 1% of the top 3%.
Isn't the 1% of the people own 95% of the wealth? Isn't that the thing?
Sure. So, sorry, Dave. So it starts to hit him pretty good. And so he's trying to talk to this guy about getting next. And so they're kind of talking, and then...
Are we talking about pool?
Yeah, at pool.
So ketamine W is trying to get next in pool.
Got it.
Was it really that unclear?
I mean, it was unclear enough that I thought maybe you had snorted your own ketamine before you started recording tonight.
Yeah, okay. So Anyway, W goes, "Hey man, grab a pool cue. I think we're about to play." And he was like, "It's the 1% guy and that other dude." And this dude, the other dude that's on the table playing against 1% guy, runs outside all of a sudden. And so we're like, "Okay, what what is that one?" We look out and he's just throwing up in the middle of the street, just and then real skinny guy with a hat, just and then I swear, dude, wipes the mouth off with the back of the hand, walks right back in and picks up the pool cue to keep playing. Immediate boot and rally pool player. Kind of impressive, also gross. I didn't want to be near him for obvious reasons. I didn't want him to like burp on me or whatever.
Did you use the stick that he was using when you played?
So I think that W and I are going to play those two at pool, which is a normal expectation at this point. They put the money in and they push it and the balls come out and W goes to start racking them. And the 1% guy's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "What's happening?" He's an assertive militia man in my mind, right? And so I was and W's like, "Dude, I'm just trying to rack for you guys because we're playing." And he goes, "You need to stand down."
What?
Yeah, what? And so W's like, "What do you mean, man? I have to rack this thing." He's like, "You need to stand down." And I was like, looking at him, he's looking at me. And I was like, "Could you elaborate on what you mean by stand down?" And he was like, "We're playing singles right now." And I was like, "Oh, are we not about to play a doubles game?" And he was like, "No. Why did you think that?" And then I looked at W and I was like, "Dude, what's up?" And he was like, "I mean, I thought you said," he goes, "I didn't say that." And then I was like, "Hey man, let's go outside and smoke a cigarette." Like we had no cigarettes, but he was like, "Okay." And so then we walked outside. I was like, "Dude, that guy's gonna murder us." And he was like, "I have no idea what's happening right now." And I was like, "Did he say that we were playing doubles?" He goes, "I mean, now that you ask, I don't think so, but it felt like," and I was like, "Oh my God, man." And then we were doing bits, trying to overcome our fear, and then went inside and we were playing against 1%. So W lost to him. The ketamine wobbles got him on the table. I was playing against him, and I swear, dude, when I was shooting on my last ball, I happened to be wearing a banana suit. I've left all that out. I was wearing a banana suit because Saturday's banana suit day. You get in a lot of colorful conversations with people. I was walking past this one woman earlier in the day, and then she kind of had like a special needs kid in a wheelchair, and she goes, "She really loves eating bananas." And I was like, as I was passing by, and I was like, "I like eating bananas too, and it's kind of like cannibalism," because I had a banana suit. She didn't think that was funny. I thought it was the best. I was like, "That's the best joke I've ever made about the banana suit," and she didn't like it. Another lady, I walked into a bar and she goes, "I don't like bananas," and I was like, "I don't like them either. I actually kind of hate myself." Also, pretty good. Pretty good. She didn't laugh either. I was like, "Dude, if you guys are gonna set me up for banana one-liners and I'm crushing them, then give me something, you know?"
You're like, "Man, the air in here is not good. I'm going to split."
Yeah. This place is really unappealing.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so this girl I'm about to shoot, and she goes, "Hey, you're dressed like a banana," like right as I'm in my backstroke about to hit this ball, and I missed it. And I know that I have to see my way through that, but she was like right next to my fucking head while I'm shooting this thing. "Hey, you're just like a banana." And I shanked the shot on the 6 ball, and then this guy won because of that. And I was like, ugh. Later, she comes up and she's going to the jukebox, and she was like, "Hey, what should I play on the jukebox?" I was like, "Play Outkast. Everybody loves Outkast." She was like, "I'm not gonna play Outkast," and I was like, "Okay, well, this conversation's over." she was like, "I'm gonna play K Gates," and I was like, "I don't care." And she was like, "Why would I listen to you? You're wearing a banana suit." And I was like, "Why would I listen to you? You're wearing athleisure right now." And then that was where it ended. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, this is Dave's territory.
I was going to say, did you ask her what she thought about Sky Blue Sky or Wilco in that moment? Because
could you play Impossible Germany right now? And she's like, I just don't think it's their best record. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
All right, so this is actually an EP recommendation from Big Brother Mike. He suggested this like over a year ago. So let it be known, friends of the pod, if you have an EP idea, we do need like a full year and a half to develop it into a show. So just be patient with us. But really, like this idea is kind of, let's talk about some songs. Let's look at some songs that have been released over the last, I don't know, the past to today. And there are songs that maybe were okay to make years ago that in today's climate are maybe harder to get across the production table. It's maybe a little more difficult to do the Paul Anka "She's Having My Baby" song in this day and age. Like that might have flown back then, but like, yeah, you can't do that today. So that's kind of where I think Big Brother Mike was going with the concept. And while I think that myself and Jeffro kind of understood the assignment, I also think that Russ like kind of put his own spin on it. Yeah, I'm going to let him tell his side of it, but let's start with you, Jeff. Like when you heard the assignment, what were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking back, and there are some songs that are just like vile that didn't get radio play. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of David Allan Coe's
Yeah.
outlawed songs, and you're just like, oh my god, like they're just truly reprehensible. But then there are other songs that were like on the radio and had music videos that if they were made today, you would be like, how, wait a second. Like, you can't.
So yeah, I think in our original chat we were talking about the Rolling Stone "Brown Sugar" song, which
Brown
like
Sugar.
they have distanced themselves from playing live, but it's still a radio mainstay.
Yeah, and they also have another song called "Negrita" that is worse. That they definitely don't play.
Yeah, no, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Brown Sugar, it's about the stalking and forcible sex of immigrant women. And
like,
but it's
in an embraced way, like they embrace it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
kind of the way it feels.
They think that it's, that's the way to go on things, which clearly is vile, but
yeah, so it was really easy. It was really easy to come up with like single lyrics that would be uncool today, like in the Dire Straits song "Money for Nothing." He says little FAGGOT, you know, and you definitely would.
Little bundle of sticks. Yeah.
Yeah. Has got his own jet airplane. He's a millionaire, you know, but they would probably not write it that, even though that was like, it was also satire because he was referring to somebody else talking about him, the rock and roll star, and calling him that. Nevertheless, would probably not make it on the radio. But I was really like more interested, I guess, in two categories of these. So mine reflect two different categories. One is like just generally uncool attitudes to women that were reflected in the history of rock music. And then I think selected the song that had a music video and everything that is pretty hard to justify. Like about that's about women. And then there's another one that's like about identity or identitarian issues where you've effectively got people representing or misrepresenting people from other identity groups, which I think was pretty common in the history of music. And I chose one of them that I think is kind of a fun example of that. It's like,
oh, Lord.
no, I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's like, it's so bad that it's like, why did anybody think this was a good idea? Like, I'm saying I think it's funny from the perspective of like, what a absolute stupidity this is, like from an artist that we all know and is popular.
No, for sure.
To have made this.
Russ, give us more about what you were going to do.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are looking at songs that might offend progressives, which makes sense. But I am looking at it from a different angle. I'm examining the demographic that's going to lose their minds over songs that challenge their illusion of America. The folks who refuse to acknowledge the rising nationalist tendencies.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like these are the people who will scream about cancel culture the moment a song attempts to expose the erosion of American democracy. So that's pretty much where I'm headed.
Yeah. So yours are almost kind of a warning sign of like, like careful what you say.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong, right? That's the idea. Like, I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I do too.
But just not to be devil's advocate, but I don't hope you're wrong.
All right, listener, just write that down and remember that when we get to Russ's tracks, that Jeffro hopes that Russ is not wrong.
It's time to cancel some progressive voices. I'm on that side.
Let's get a little more God in our life, I think, is really what Jeffro is trying to say.
Yeah, so much God. Like,
just God all over your face, just God all the time. Such a hard God. Yeah, so we decided to title this episode "You Can't Do That on Television" because it was in reference to a show on Nickelodeon in the late 80s, early 90s. Is that right? It was like a game show where the kids were the contestants and they were kind of disrespectful and they were kind of edgy and they kind of said things that, like, they called people stupid or whatever, and then they got slimed. And I am only aware of it because as a youth, PBS was on cable, and so Nickelodeon was too. And because my parents thought it was appropriate for us to watch Sesame Street, they had cable when we lived back in Amarillo, and which also meant that we had Nickelodeon. And so we watched Sesame Street, Square One, and Can't Do That on Television. Nickelodeon would later come up as problematic with the Dan Schneider stuff, as he produced a bunch of shows with some really young kids that had very suggestive sexual stuff. And there's a whole documentary about the bananas scenario that was. Anyway, that's not why we're here.
Thank God.
I know, right? We're here about music, and we're here about songs. These are going to be some songs that have some questionable lyrics and don't really fit in, at least in our minds, the narrative of today. So kicking us off tonight is going to be Jeffro with his first track. And you know what? I'm going to let you intro it and take us from here. What do you got, sir?
I don't know what to say about it except that it's from 1981 by the band Oingo Boingo off the album Only a Lad. This is Little Girls.
Yeah. Sounds like the voice of a man with a daughter.
It makes me think of the book Lolita
Oh yeah.
He claims that this is a satire,
Mhm.
you know, and there are satirical elements, but I have a question about satire, or it's thoughts about satire, right? Which is, okay, if you're Danny Elfman, now you live with Bridget Fonda, who's like 60 years old and a recluse, and she doesn't look anything like what she once did as an actress. She's like, kind of looks like everybody's Southern grandma now. If you're Danny Elfman and of Batman score fame and all the stuff,
Yeah.
kind of a little bit reclusive with your wife, and you notice that on YouTube, the video for this song has like millions of views, like 10 million views. Would you be like, that's because everybody appreciates my satire so much? They think it's funny.
No.
I don't think that that's why.
No, well, satire is kind of crazy, right? I mean, I feel like we talked about this during the comedy ep last year, just like where like there's like a line where like some people are celebrating what you're saying, some people aren't, but then this song is kind of, I don't know, it feels kind of funky in a weird kind of like way. Like it's hard to swallow, like, oh, this is just satire. It's just meant to be reactionary, but it's like, I mean, yes, probably, but it's like you do a really good job making it creepy as fuck. Just saying.
That's what they say in the article from The Independent. It's like the creepiest music video of all time, right?
Yeah. It was banned in Canada for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's basically like kissing a little girl on there. There's a lot to read into this text, and we don't have to spend all of the time. But it goes, so it didn't necessarily reflect me.
Oh my God.
Hard stop.
Yeah. Necessarily what?
Necessarily.
It didn't necessarily reflect me, but it was just fun, and I knew it was irreverent. I was out to offend everybody when I started out. Any subject matter I could find that would be offensive, I was embracing. So that was just one.
That's pretty punk rock. I mean, I get that element of, being a punk, but
As a defense, it seems it's on its face. You're like, sure. And this is an experiment in free speech. It's an experiment in being punk. It's an experiment in playing around with ideas that are taboo.
But also that quote came from 2010. There's like, 29 years of thinking of how to like answer that question.
so that's like revisionist theory on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And so
I don't think he said anything about the song until 1985 for the first time, when he was already like backpedaling where it was. I think it was already gaining momentum in a direction he didn't want it to, or maybe they became bigger than he thought they were going to get or something.
Yeah.
But I think
a
he's been
direction
playing.
he didn't want it to. Like what?
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about this. If it is a Molotov cocktail, you're just saying like, I will handle any subject, and I'm calling
Yeah.
it a dream and a nightmare. It's weird. I dabble in the grotesque. Then you have to fully embrace that there are 80% of people that are just going to take it at face value and be like, this is a horrible thing. And they're right, And so you have to want that kind of action if this is the song. I mean, the crazy thing is that this had a music video that was produced by people like that.
Yeah.
Like, it is unimaginable now that somebody would make this music video.
And then how many millions of people watched it? Is it views, you said? What'd you say?
And they're still watching it.
So here's a weird stat. They guesstimate that 1 to 2% of the American population are pedophiles who attack prepubescent teens and children. And if you look at that, with roughly 340 million people in the country, you're talking 3.4 to 6.8 million, and the video has 7.2 million views. So that's kind of interesting.
Wow.
I mean, the Spotify streams got 17 million plays on that song. which I mean, I know it's not
Yeah.
a lot compared to others, but like that's
That's a lot.
17 million listens to that song.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
and so like I had never heard it before. We listened to it prepping the episode, and like I know Danny Elfman. He's the composer for all of Tim Burton's stuff, and he's weird, and it does great film scores or whatnot. Like some epic themes are created from this dude who turns out like did study in Europe with symphonies and things, and just really, really a powerful musician in his own right. But like having never heard this song before and listening to it for the first time, I was like really struck by how rapey it sounded.
Yeah.
It's
so aggressive.
The weird things with his voice, like the way he's like, I don't know, like it's like, it's definitely meant to be creepy. Like he definitely plays it up, and it's weird, and yeah, for sure.
Okay, so then I encountered this very difficult thing but I think that Lolita is totally justified in a beautiful piece of literature that is truly excellent. Like it's a great.
You talking about the Nabokov novel?
The Nabokov novel Lolita is a great novel, and it's problematic. Nabokov might himself have had tendencies in that direction. It's unclear. He definitely tried to burn the novel, and his wife recovered it and was able to publish it later on, or get him to publish.
She had to wait till she turned 18 first, though, I think.
That's fucked up.
Oh God.
So there's a lot of backstory to that also. Nevertheless, it's a wonderful case study and beautiful prose, a perfectly written thing, and you're not supposed to feel sympathy for the main character, Humbert, who is a pedophile. You're supposed to see him as a scheming and disgusting human that gives over to an urge that he might have tried to fight, right?
Yeah.
And for the record, Nabokov has nobody ever brought any charges about him. Never, he never acted on his impulses if they were there, which is admirable in a way if you think about it. Because I'm not an expert on pedophilia or anything, but people obviously have that urge so much so that it's a social problem.
Yeah.
Right. There are people that just have that thing. It's vile to most of us in the world, but there's a small group of people that are very fascinated and titillated by young people,
Children having sex with children, right? Just to be clear,
having that and not acting on it is an honorable thing if you think about it. Like it's like you have the urge to be a serial killer and you never do it. You have the urge to be a pedophile and you never act on it. That's actually kind of respectable in a way.
or you think you're gay, so you become a priest, right? We're gonna just suppress.
Yeah, I mean, but what else is if it's something as like socially problematic or vile as pedophilia, then
Okay. Well,
suppressing
so
it is a wonderful and admirable thing, I think.
I mean, it's better than the alternative, right? I mean, like you're not hurting.
Of course,
you're not hurting someone that way.
So question, like just from ethically whatever, like thinking about that group of people and the advent of technology, like how do you think about use of AI to allow them to have that experience that they want or they're attracted to? Because it's not hurting anybody, right? If it's just like it's
not hurting anybody in the beginning. I think it gets gatewayed like that.
Do you think?
I think it satisfies an itch at first, and then they need more.
Okay, but what if there's like science and data that says otherwise? That it doesn't lead to that.
Well, then that's up to the doctors, man. I don't know, but that seems problematic.
So that's one thing is like basically beating the shit out of people and throwing them in prison where they're like shanked to death as the solution to the social problem seems like it's maybe not the best answer. Like what might and again, I don't know, but what we know that people have this thing, and it's probably it could be by nature, it could be socialized. I don't know, but we know that some people have this thing.
People watch porn of stuff that they don't do in their normal life, right? So you have like whatever interest or curiosity about a thing, and I'm not here to justify or say like that this is appropriate, but yeah.
No, none of us are justifying it. We're just talking. It's a social problem. So how do we solve it? If it were the case that people that had this tendency were, they were monitored by psychologists, and then they did use AI or like animation or whatever is the case to kind of like get a little bit of what they need and then never act on it in real life, then I think that's a win. If we could show that it actually starts to diminish the problem overall, of course, right? But it's hard to know that it would require a great deal of monitoring. And I also have the fear that Russ has, that basically there's like an internet group, all these like dark web groups of these freaky people that are not only watching the AI stuff, but are also then like, all right, now let's get the real videos and all that stuff. They're going to keep seeking.
Yeah.
But that's not, I didn't really want to like delve into the social problem of it as much. What I'm trying to figure out is why I think Lolita is justified, but I don't really think that this song or the music video is justified.
Yeah, no, that's curious. Tell me more.
Yeah, and I don't really necessarily know the answer. It's a thought experiment, but I think the reason why, first off, is that the song it doesn't do enough on its own. It's because it's short. It's maybe the wrong medium and all this stuff to kind of like develop the character here. It's just a guy that is a pedophile that enjoys little girls holding him, and it's a fever dream and a nightmare, and that's it. And it's fun. It's a fun little song that you dance to or whatever. But it's like if this is satire, it's very thin. Like what is satirical about it? Like
right. He's
what
just
is
like, you're just being like, oh, this is a day in the life of pedophile whatever XYZ over here, who's just like, I like little girls, and they don't talk bad to me, and they don't do this and they don't do that. I like them. They're easy, or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, that's
they don't talk back. They do what I want. It's very controlling. It's I don't know. It's very icky.
Yeah, well, there's nothing in the picture that he's creating that's like obviously unappealing or disastrous. He's just inhabiting. If he's inhabiting a character, he's inhabiting the character and only doing the justifying of it.
Right, like the third verse isn't like the little girl's dad beating the shit out of him, or like as he's like getting beat to death, or like thrown in jail, or like or something, like getting shanked in jail, like something like that.
I'd be like, I like little girls in my mind as I'm being stabbed to death, or whatever.
But I think then you have some kind of like karmic conclusion to that, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this all works. Like, okay, this guy was definitely sick, but he's getting
exactly. But as it is, it's just
a day in the life. He's like, cool, and tomorrow I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, the arc for Humbert and Lolita is like you follow him along. He's your narrator, and then like what he's doing is monstrous, and you're like, oh my god, this is horrible. And he even realizes that there's a loss there when he actually like ends up sleeping with the Lolita character. You're like, oh my god, this is it's terrible for him, it's terrible for us, and it all falls apart, and you're supposed to see him as a monster. But where they're the same is that there are 17 million listeners and 10 million viewers of this song, and there are a huge number of people that read Lolita and were like, this would make a great movie. And we should sex up the Lolita character real good and make her real hot. And it's like, wait a second. Like that's, and then like a lot of guys that were reading and directing movies that were basically like, it's kind of Lolita's fault that Humbert's so into her. Like that, it went in all those same bad directions. And so
Yep.
even if you're creating the art for satire or for social commentary and it's meant to be an inversion, there's a definite risk that people are going to take it the wrong way and act on it in the wrong way. And that is a worrisome thing when you're playing with fire. You're playing with something that's so dangerous. And so you're like, it was early in my career, I was fucking around with all these ideas, and just like, bleh, and just seeing where it all leads.
I was trying to be provocative, Yeah.
Yeah. What if it leads to somebody's playing this song while they're engaged in the worst possible behavior, and it feels like it.
Oh my God. That's a nightmare.
Of course it is, but like this would be an anthem for that. Like it sounds like that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not a censor. And I think I am for an open marketplace of ideas for the most part, even Russ's strangest cum ideas. But the
don't yuck his yum, dude.
Yeah, but this one feels very difficult to justify.
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this is a song that were it made today would get a lot of play from an A&R rep or put on any radio or even have a music video made about it. And it's a wild track. And Oingo Boingo is that sort of punk band that like kind of existed in that same space as Devo, but maybe didn't get the same sort of pub that they did. And there is like there's an ethos to how the music is made. But yeah, I agree. This one is a little over the line, and I think it's a fit for our theme today. That like, yeah, you can't do that today. You can't. That doesn't fly.
Just a side thing. Have you seen what Danny Elfman looks like now?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the most stacked up 71-year-old dude that you could ever, and he's all tatted up.
Yep.
But he must spend a great deal of money and time like jazzercising or whatever.
Do you think he's got some human growth hormone in him or something?
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Like, there's no way you're that old looking like that.
It's wild, dude. I mean, he's cranked. I mean, he's got like sinewy arms and like veins in his obliques, and he's like 71. That's
no,
nuts.
him and Carrot Top have the same trainer, apparently. I read that.
that trainer goes, if you don't have a George Washington like head of red hair, then I'm not doing it.
You're out. You're not on my team. I got nothing for you if you don't.
You kind of have to have the mushroom tip red hair, and if you don't have that, I will not train you. And so it's basically the two of them and Nicole Kidman, and that's it.
Oh man.
Nice.
Yeah, she goes more blonde now than strawberry blonde, which it's unfortunate. It's too bad because she's a classy lady. Well, thank you, Frodo. I really do appreciate you bringing some Oingo Boingo to the table. I'm going to take our second pick tonight and transition us over to another rock and roll song from the mid 80s. And this is a track from the band Red Hot Chili Peppers off of their What Hits album, produced by George Clinton, actually. This song is called Catholic School Girls Rule. So as a youth who went to Catholic school for 12 years, I feel like this is an appropriate song for me to discuss. So let's go ahead and play that motherfucker. So that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they are a band from California, apparently. From records that they'll sing about California. They talk about California a lot. And this song in particular is problematic for not just sort of the lyrics that are, in the song, but also from where they are inspired. Turns out Anthony Kiedis, lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, wrote an autobiography called Scar Tissue. And in that autobiography, he talks about sort of the impetus for this song. And this song is, by his words, inspired by the repeated statutory rape of this 14-year-old girl who attended a local Catholic school in Louisiana when he was on tour and went through Louisiana. And they met backstage and started a relationship. They had sex, and then he took her on tour with her and continued to have sex with her even after finding out that she was 14.
Hold on, and her father.
Well, yeah. He returned her home after he found out that her father was the chief of police.
Oh my God. Yep. I thought after he realized he was searching for her, he continued the relationship a little bit longer before he returned her.
Oh, yeah. No, they had sex again.
Yeah.
They drove to Baton Rouge, and when they got off stage at that show, the girl came up to him and said, "Hey, I have something to tell you. My father's the chief of police, and the entire state of Louisiana is looking for me because I'm missing. I've been on tour with you for, days, and I'm missing. And besides that, I'm only 14. And like his response to that situation was that he wasn't that scared because in his mind, he knew that if he told the chief of police that she was in love with him, he wasn't going to, take him out to the field and have him shot. But he did want to get her back home right away. So they had sex one more time, and then they drove her back to town. And he also gives the anecdote in his book, Scar Tissue, that she said a compliment that he'll never forget. She said, "When you make love to me, it's like you're a professional." And then he told her she should give herself a little more time. And she realized because she didn't have so much to compare to. And then he sent her back to New Orleans.
He's a real stand-up guy, I think.
They haven't played that song live a lot. And the last time it was played is in 2007. Really only played 4 times since 1987. So it's not a huge hit in their catalog or something that they try to really like stand behind as representative of their band because, they've been a little bit of a problematic band for a lot of other reasons. But
so as of last year, 61-year-old Anthony Kiedis, who is a youthful 61,
youthful, sure,
was dating a 19-year-old woman, 42 years his junior.
Yeah. What's that saying? The more things change, the more things stay the same.
Well, but he had a relationship with Ion Sky when she was 16 and he was 24. Like this is a thing for him.
Right.
So those are the two that like people know about, right? But
right.
If he's 61 with 19-year-old, like there have been others underage for sure. Plus, he probably can't even remember during his heroin days.
There's been a lot of heroin through that band, that's for sure, through the years. John Frusciante is historically known as a huge heroin user and was kicked out of the band and then rejoined after getting clean for the Californication record, and that got him back on the map. That got them back on the map in the late 90s, early aughts.
Well, they just have a lot of scar tissue that they wish you saw.
They've learned a lot in that time because even in 2022, they got to headline the Austin City Limits Music Festival, despite 61-year-old Anthony Kiedis dating a 19-year-old and feeling okay with that.
Well, at least that one's legal.
Legal, yes. But at 19, I mean, she's still a child.
Certainly the 14-year-old is not legal or clearly defined as statutory rape in New Orleans and the entire state of Louisiana. Which what is the age of consent in Louisiana? Do you know offhand?
I don't, because I've never had to worry about that.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Well, it's the true answer. Yeah.
You passed the test. It's 17.
I like women my age.
I'm a firm believer that until a person is 25, their foundations aren't set. I feel like the meaningful, significant relationships I didn't have until I was past that age, and I was dating people that were past that age as well, which is why I'm married to the woman I'm married to. But yeah, that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers and really not understanding the age of consent. This is a song that would not get a lot of traction today. All right, well, so that's my pick. This is a good time to take a little break for a little pod swap.
Drop the needle on the Album Nerds podcast.
It's just the Album Nerds.
It's just Album Nerds.
Join Andy, Don, and Dude each week as they discuss albums from themes chosen by the Wheel of Musical Discovery.
Heavy metal guitar virtuoso.
Double albums.
TV raps.
Punk
The
rock.
top 10 albums of 1986.
Uncover hidden gems, revisit classics, and hear fresh takes on your favorite records.
Exile on Main Street.
Some of what country music can do best is that storytelling.
This is a messy album for sure.
I just want to hear Floyd in everything, I think.
Born in the USA.
And it sounds great overall as an album. I'm just not moved by it.
The Album Nerds podcast. Three guys talking
This
music.
is what we call freestyling.
Yes. That's what we call freestyle. No one else would call it that. Other people would call it find another podcast to listen to. Okay, so
Give it a spin wherever you find podcasts and albumnerds.com.
Sweet. Check them out. Back to 6 picks. Next up, we've got pick number 3, our first Russ track of the night. What do you got for us, Russ?
My first pick, the third pick tonight, is definitely the thrashiest song I've brought to the pod. It's called Nazi White Trash by Leftover Crack off of their 2001 album, Mediocre Generica.
Special something that's spreading you a pill. You think that we all love ya? This is how you make us feel. Sweaty, fucking ignorant, and pride, the condition, eugenics, social Darwinism, excuse your position, and passion, evil ways are on the got you there today. I hope you get shot. This is what we're trying to say. Hey, Jay, you still a motherfucker. You're the fucking blood, you're the fucking blood. That's the white trash, who works Molly shit. You're the fucking sick, you're such a fucking prick.
Leftover Crack is an American punk rock band formed in 1998. They write mostly political lyrics of a radical leftist nature, opposing religion, capitalism, and authority. I'm not going to say that being progressive or punk rock makes you automatically good. Scott Sturgeon, aka Stizacrack, the frontman for Leftover Crack, is a bona fide piece of shit and was canceled regarding allegations of abuse toward women. However, before all that came out, he wrote this song. So far, we've talked about pedophilia, and honestly, everyone should be appalled by that. I think even pedophiles who haven't been exposed yet publicly agree that it's bad. Then we get the news that some pastor or deacon or priest or really anyone who yells about traditional conservative values gets busted for child porn or worse. And again, I'm not going to say that if you're on the other side, if you're progressive or leftist or whatever, that makes you automatically not a pedophile, because it doesn't. And we definitely know there are people on that side who participate as well. But just saying, it's coming from the right side more so these days.
Yeah.
Going back to what Jeff was saying, suppressing it seems like it could be useful, but there are obviously people who just can't and instead act on that impulse.
Right.
And it also seems like it comes from the group of people who have been scorned if they're even remotely interested in a kink that isn't biblically laying with a member of the opposite sex in some vanilla way.
Yeah.
So you wonder if they could just express themselves sexually in a consenting way with an adult, how many fewer pedophiles there might be. I mean, I'm pretty sure a good amount of them just choose children because they have a better chance of getting away with it by scaring the child into silence.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nazi White Trash, I think, could be a direct, unfiltered assault on the current administration and where the country could be headed, to be honest. I feel like this song, especially if it were really radio friendly, would spark serious outrage from the right. They're the party of law and order, and if you ask them, they claim to hate fascists and Nazis. However, there have been plenty of Nazi salutes and meeting with white supremacists and aligning with fascist views. There's a lot going on out there. And no one on the right is calling them out. In fact, they're making excuses or saying that they didn't mean it or several things to downplay what's actually happening. The game has changed, right? And what lies ahead, I think, only history can tell us now. But the right, who hates cancel culture, actually loves it, I think. And I definitely could see them canceling this song because this song attributes those sentiments to the American government, and it could easily be interpreted as targeting figures like 47 or Project 2025 or even Elon Musk. I think you'd encounter major pushback. And for whatever reason, it's the people who scream that progressives are snowflakes but refuse to listen to legitimate concerns about their dear leader. And instead they fall on their own swords or cover their ears and look away from the aspects that everyone knows are not true American ideals. Even though they may not be the majority, they're definitely the loudest right now. And they're not interested in nuanced dialogue or critical examination. Like, they're completely invested in performative outrage. I mean, their tribal mentality, it just means that their leadership is essentially immune to legitimate criticism. And any challenge is immediately reframed as just a personal attack or an assault on patriotism, which is kind of fucked up, but it is the truth. And if their supporters are behind them on these issues, silencing art becomes much easier. And like, it sucks to say, right? But there's nothing new about fascist regimes silencing artists. Like, that's history. You know, I mean, just look at Nazi Germany or Stalin's Soviet Union. You got Mussolini's Italy and Pinochet's Chile, right? Just to name a few. And all they need is the right painting or film or book or song. It's something with politically charged rhetoric to shift policy toward criminalizing artists and abolishing the First Amendment. And let's not forget, they have big tech on their side. Did you guys see how many billionaires and CEOs kissed the ring on January 20th?
No, it's interesting. Like, I feel like there was a trans character in a Disney show that they just changed to being
a biblical character.
Yeah, to being a Christian character, right? So I hear what you're saying. I also see like art and music as being the point of resistance to a lot of
Absolutely. But if they gain enough momentum and they have their base behind them, they could easily silence artists, and they could do it quietly, right? Because it would not be overt book burning or some kind of direct censorship, right? It would be more like a death by 1,000 cuts. You'd have algorithmic suppression, maybe economic marginalization, social media shadow banning, right? And like potential legal harassment. Like this stuff is very possible.
Yeah, you're like getting blacklisted. It's like McCarthy.
Yeah, and we just wouldn't know about it. They would, one band might be saying it out loud, but in the end, like, who would be listening? I don't know. I don't know if anybody would. Or, and if you hear that, what comes to mind? Like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory or something. I don't know.
There's some truth in what you're saying, but like, dude, it's gonna be. We're a long way out from bands don't get to be bands in America. Like,
it seems very possible, but it also seems fiction based. I don't know. It's a weird spot to be.
Margaret Atwood world does not seem as far fetched as it once did. I hear you on that. I do feel like when we look back through the political movements of the last 60 years, and we see the music that came out of that, and we see the music that responded to that. Like, I have a hope and a faith that continues and that artists will continue to dissent in that method and format to I don't know, show a different worldview.
Yeah, dude, I hope that too. But if you think about it, in a true democracy, art that challenges power is celebrated. And however, like in an emerging authoritarian system, such art becomes like an act of resistance and one that must be erased, dismissed, and delegitimized. So power protects itself by controlling narratives, right? And ultimately seeking to silence opposition even before it can be voiced. But maybe I'm overreacting.
No. And I applaud you for it because, I mean, it is very top of mind right now with the state that we're in. And I don't know. I saw something on the internet that, like, Nazi Germany was taken over in less than 60 days. It's just like how quickly things move, right?
Well, the Weimar fell that quickly to Hitler.
This is why we have Jeff on the pod, because he knows actual history, facts, and government things, and can correct all of my ignorant takes. But
no, you had the right idea. It took Hitler 53 days to destroy the liberal constitution that made up the Weimar Republic, which ultimately didn't last that long because Germany hadn't really been a liberal democracy in its history. And so that's one advantage that the States has over Nazi Germany, is that, the U.S. has been a democracy for a majority of its existence. It's a long-standing democracy. It's going to be hard to, like, people are going to need to still be able to set up their bands and put their songs online and all that stuff for things to be like, I just don't see like widespread censorship working very well.
Let's all hope you're right. God, I fucking hope you're right. That would be great news.
well, all right. So moving right on into our next pick tonight, we are going to do a little bit of a shift for Jeffro's pick. Yeah, we're gonna go with you next. So I'll leave it to you to intro and tell us more about the details there.
I talked about it on the pod before, but in the 1990s, from approximately 1991 to 1996, I rode with my mom in a red Chevy Cavalier station wagon.
Station wagon. Did everybody's mom in the 80s drive a station wagon? Mine definitely did.
Well, it was in the 90s, so maybe everybody in the 80s did, and then my mom didn't get the memo that it's time to get a fucking SUV.
Wow, we drove it in the 90s too. Yeah.
Mom, get the memo, Mom.
Ma! We listened to every fucking country song that was on KRMD in Shreveport, Louisiana. And one of the songs that came on all the time in 1994 was this one off of the record Not a Moment Too Soon by Timothy McGraw. It's Indian Outlaw.
I'm an Indian outlaw, half Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa, she's a one of a kind. All my friends call me Bear Claw. The village chieftain is my pawpaw. He gets his orders from my mama. She makes him walk the line. You can find me in my wigwam. I'll be beating on my tom-tom. Pull out the pipe and smoke you some. Hey, and pass it around. 'Cause I'm an Indian outlaw, half Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa. She's a one of a kind.
So, I don't have anything against Tim McGraw. He was 27 when he recorded this song, which is wild.
I heard he's like a 1/677th Cherokee, so it's probably okay.
Yes, that's probably fair. He has more than 30 number one singles.
So this wasn't a number one single, but it was his first single to hit the Billboard, the first one to be a hit. And one of the guys at the record company was like, man, I didn't think this song was good at all. And then, it became a hit. And now since I'm part of it, I'm pretty happy with it. But I think it's just because he got paid.
I think Tim McGraw isn't like a hardcore, MAGA Republican, offend anyone you want kind of a dude. He's married to Faith Hill. They're both like good people.
I thought I read that he's a Democrat.
Yeah, he probably is. He's like me from Louisiana, a Louisiana Democrat. We're a rare breed. So, I don't think that there's anything that's like weird but I just can't imagine him or anyone else doing this song today. Like, I mean, the steel guitar is playing that kind of, I guess it evokes like Native American music from old Westerns. And so it's this kind of like typified or stylized.
Oh, the whole thing is a caricature of the, it's like a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a caricature. Exactly.
He takes every Native American stereotype and ramps it up to like 120.
Oh my gosh. This stanza, all my friends call me Bear Claw. The village chieftain is my pawpaw. He gets his orders from my mama. She makes him walk the line. Johnny Cash reference. You can find me in my wigwam. I'd be beating on my tom-tom. Pull out the pipe and smoke you some. Hey, and pass it around.
So that's some really, really lazy rhymes.
Yeah, and let's not forget, they all gather around my teepee late at night trying to catch a peek at me in nothing but my buffalo briefs. I got them standing in line.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see his buffalo hides.
I mean, I just can't believe that they made that song. He can't play that today, right? Like he doesn't play Indian Outlaw.
What year did this come out again?
1994. This is 31 years ago.
Oh, boy.
Well, okay, so I found this kind of hilarious comment on Reddit. I'll go ahead and give the user Corgi Boop.
Oh, Corgi Boop. Mm-hmm.
I can go ahead and cite them because I'm going to read directly what they have to say. But they said that this song doesn't really seem to be saying anything. It just lists a bunch of words associated with Native Americans. They said it would be like if a song about Italians went like this. I'm a mobster from Italy. I like cooking spaghetti. I've got a tower that is leaning. Now we wants my fettuccine. It's like, hell yeah, all right.
Yeah, that checks out. That totally checks out.
Dude, genius. Yeah, it's like it's basically a long strung together series of stereotypes, and there's nothing redeeming about the subject at all. There's no character. There's no like. It's not tongue in cheek even. I don't think. Like I don't even understand. Is it supposed to be funny or is it supposed to be like? These are just things that you know about Indian people. And then we're going to do it over some and you're going to love it. And dude, did people love it? Holy shit. Did they play this song all the time? I mean, that line, my baby, she's a Chippewa is like kind of stuck in my head a lot. Like it's just in there,
Dude, the Cherokee people piece is just like, it's like Cherokee people.
Yeah, that was from another song, wasn't it? Isn't that a throwback?
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
Yeah. I think there was a song called Cherokee People in the 70s, but I don't know. Anyway, it's just, this is the problem here. And I think this is what Corgi Boop was saying.
Yeah, Corgi Boop.
It's not really about Native Americans at all. That's the issue with it. And it's like a white guy doing it, but it's just nothing.
Well, it reminds me of that song I was talking about on the Comedy Up when we were talking about Bird Cloud called Indianer, the one where I'm more Indian than you, and they're just like their commentary on that. And you wonder if this song or a song like it is what inspired people to claim to be more Native American than they actually are.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely not half Cherokee and Choctaw. Actually, does that mean that you're 25% of each if you're half of both? I don't know what he's saying exactly. And then his baby's definitely not a Chippewa because Faith Hill is whiter than Ava Braun, Hitler's wife.
Clearly.
Well, but I mean, he's just singing from a character POV, right? But I think the
that's-
whole
that-
idea is like what they were saying is like there's no admiration, I think, right? Like we're just gonna say we found a book on like Native Americans and we found a bunch of words that we can rhyme or use that sound fun and cool, and we're gonna just like slap them all together. Who wrote the song? Do you know? Did he write this song?
It's 3 dudes. He did not write the song. John Loudermilk, Gene Simmons, I don't think from Kiss.
Jumpin' Gene Simmons.
Yeah. Thomas Dwayne Barnes.
Okay.
I think the
Bunch of
real
white
test for
dudes.
something like this, and it's a good test for jokes and everything, but would you walk up to a Native American person and play this song to them on your guitar if you're Tim McGraw?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The answer is fuck no, you wouldn't. Like, because it would just be, he caught running water in my hands, drug around by my headband. And he's like, gonna sing that to Native American. No. Just like if you were Danny Elfman and you were meeting a victim of a pedophile, you wouldn't be like, hey, let me play this fun satire song. I think you'll relate to it because you're obviously very critical of pedophiles yourself. You know, it's just like, it's not representing the people that it's supposed to be about, or that it's supposed to be like kind of doing a service to or something. Like it's not, there's not a there.
Well, so the fucked up thing is that it is 1994, and Curb Records, the label this album came out on, said this was the first single off the record that deserved to be released. This was the first single off of the album Not a Moment Too Soon.
Yeah, because they probably were like, this is the best performance. I mean, in terms of like 90s country music, like it is a I mean, I'm gonna compliment it, I guess, but it's like a kind of a well-written little number, and he's a great vocal performer. You can't argue what Tim McGraw could sing. And so they probably heard it and they're like, it's catchy. Yeah, he's doing the Chippewa yodel thing. We like that. Let's go with this one, you know?
The other singles from this record are Don't Take the Girl, Down on the Farm, Not a Moment Too Soon, and Refried Dreams. So,
Dude, Don't Take the Girl was like, did you encounter this song growing up?
Of course.
Yeah, it
of
was
course.
such a junior high
massive hit.
dance song. Because it's about sticking up for your girl and don't take the girl. So, yeah, he had other hits. But, yeah, it is weird that they were like, we got to get people into this record. What are we going to go with? Yeah.
Let's start him off with the Indian Outlaw.
Yeah, let's do Indian Outlaw first.
Although he did make a pretty strong appearance in the prequel show to Yellowstone, the 1886, which his wife also stars in.
1883. But there was a pretty big Native American presence in that, so that's something.
1883, excuse me. Thank you, Russ, for correcting me on the semantics of that show that no one's going to watch.
Let's take a break and chew the fat. Play that motherfucker.
Jeff, Russ, and Dave in the motherfucking chat, chewing the fat on stuff weird and whack.
Well, so today's Chewing the Fat is brought to us by Big Al's Meat Processing and Taxidermy. Why make two stops? Get your game processing and trophy room needs all at the same time. Big Al's Meat Processing and Taxidermy is your one-stop shop for getting your kill onto your family's dinner plates and a memento of that special weekend you had in the woods with the guys. Bundle services and save at Big Al's Meat Processing and Taxidermy. Well, shit, Dixie, I did not know that was a service you could bundle. If anyone listener is in need of either game processing or taxidermy or both, give Big Al a call.
I do love that we are just like selling ourselves out to like the smallest fucking like podcast listeners are not going to be using your service, but thank you. We will take your money.
No, we were taking off on the airplane, going down. We started to like pick up speed, and as we started to like pick up, it was like, ah! like just screaming laughter, joy. It was
Oh, wow.
hilarious. Yeah, because like everybody's really anxious during that moment, and just to hear a kid like screaming with laughter.
Yeah,
kinda
that's
lightens
cool.
the
I
mood.
remember I had flown when I was really young, and then I didn't fly again for a long time until I was maybe 12 or something. I think we were on a school trip, and it had been so long that I just didn't remember flying. I mean, I kind of remember, but not the sensation of taking off. And it was, I remember going, "Oh my God, this is incredible." Like, it was like
Yeah.
the most exciting thing. And I have been chasing that dragon every flight since, and I could just not get there.
I know, dude. So fast when you're taking off.
I still love
you know?
it. Yeah. No, it's like it's as a 45-year-old, it's still like terrifying in a way that it's like, I don't know, like every roller coaster kind of thrown together but without a seatbelt. Cuz I mean, I feel like safer on a roller coaster than I do in a plane, just because I feel like if the roller coaster breaks down, you just stop, right? I mean, I know that there's the whole whatever death comes for us all final destination thing.
I don't know, man. Six Flags fatalities would like a word.
Okay. Right. But the plane breaks down and crashes, I feel like that's church.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about.
I think planes are safer than roller coasters. Just gonna
Yeah,
say.
the planes are safer, definitely statistically, but
Oh,
you
well,
know,
yeah. I'm just
I'm
talking
out of
about
control.
the feeling of it. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Control.
I'm out of control on both of them, but there's something about like the ground being very close by, even when you're on a roller coaster. Like, you can still plunge to your death from the top of a roller coaster, but just being able to see the ground the whole time is nice. When you're like way up in the sky.
Yeah, it feels like maybe I could like roll out of this and just like break a leg or something.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna get crushed to death.
Obviously, yeah, you will break your whole spine.
Yeah, but you're also like wondering if like Billy Bob did his job and made sure that everything was still functioning right, but he
Yeah.
probably doesn't care. Versus like, there are like federal guidelines to be like, this plane cannot leave.
Oh, dude, I don't fuck with like the local fair roller coaster at all. No, thank you. Like,
No,
I've seen
hell no.
too many internet videos of people jumping down on a platform to save it from flipping over. Like, yeah, fuck the fair.
Yeah, the ones where like there's like literally a guy with a tire iron putting them together in the morning. Yeah, and then you're riding it the evening. Yeah, no way.
Yeah. And then like after 5 days, they like put it on a truck and then just drive it to another city. That's
And all those people not exactly sober.
yeah. No. I feel like there's an amphetamine contingency that's alive there.
Is it still amphetamines, or do you think they're fentanyl?
Dude, they're making meth in the trailer bath like toilet.
Probably
yeah, it's
meth.
definitely meth.
Yeah,
like
probably
that is
meth.
easy to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if they're on the road, they're making their own as opposed to like trying to find the local fentanyl dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I worked at
It's
the
like-
fair, I think I'd want to be doing meth.
Yeah, because you're up all kinds of hours. It's
Yeah.
Dude, and
you're
you
alert.
can lure in some pretty good strange with meth, I think.
Okay.
Like
Speak
people that
from
you can lure in
experience?
with meth are definitely like down to fuck. Like they definitely are.
Yeah,
you
the
wanna
meth
come over
crowd-
to my
the
house
meth
and
crowd
try out some of my
definitely-
bathtub meth. They're like, yeah, we'll definitely fucking tonight.
No, my buddy from college, he went to New York and then he started doing meth and then he just started having sex with guys. He was like, yeah, it's just like I'm on meth and it feels really good to fuck dudes. So like I'm not gay, but like I like fucking dudes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
You know this story.
Yeah. Yeah, that same dude visited me in New York in 2008 and tried to convince me to have sex with his girlfriend, who he claimed had 2 vaginas. I was very curious, but I didn't actually want to have sex. I just wanted to see the 2 vaginas.
Nobody, that's called an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now back to Six Picks Music Club.
And you're up next, actually, with the next pick number 5 in our 6 picks playlist tonight. Russ, what do you have as a song that is, I don't know, not going to make it today?
All right, my next track is called Control Alt Right Delete by the Briggs. It is a single that they released by itself in 2016, and incidentally was the last bit of music they ever released.
Can't believe this is happening. Man, we're way off track. Now we got law and order at imaginary borders. It's time to move forward, not 80 years back. Fuck you, Nazi pricks. Who the fuck do you think you are? We can't claim this is our land, but we ourselves are immigrants. And fuck them.
All right, so this is the Briggs. It's a punk rock band from Los Angeles that's been making waves since 1999. Originally formed under the name I Decline. They adopted the name the Briggs after, and then they've released 4 studio albums. Album number 4 came out in 2008, and then they released an EP in 2015, and then that song is a single that came out in 2016. And as mentioned earlier, they have not released any other music since then. But they haven't broken up, and they just played a show a couple of weeks ago. So who knows? They released this song a month after Trump was voted into office in 2016.
Well, I mean, this song was like out at least a year before that Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. So, I mean, it definitely precursor in that regard. But like, what do you think about like how this has come from being, I don't know, a shadow organization to being like, it's okay to, not be masked anymore. Like in Charlottesville, they were all like wearing, or I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's like a coming forward of the thing, right? They're not hiding anymore, right?
They were hiding their faces. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there was still a little bit of that even just back in 2020 and stuff. But I mean, I think at this point, after he took office, I think no one feels like they have to hide anymore. Like those people don't feel like they have to hide. I think they're just like, okay, we're going, and like, who's going to stop us? And as they are like systematically going through and like those 200 executive orders in the first, 100 days or whatever it was supposed to be. Like, I mean, like there is a plan, and it's happening. I think it's happening. And I don't think we even understand what it is. And we don't even know what the next step's going to be after they get this first part done. Like that, they're definitely keeping that under wraps still. And then like the immigration, the song deals with immigration, and it deals with like how everybody who lives in America outside of the Native Americans are immigrants. And, it just feels like you got like the restrictive immigration policies, and then
Sure.
and throwing shade on multicultural narratives and the full-on assault on DEI for companies and universities, and unlawful protesting at universities. I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening right now that I think are going to have some serious consequences. And I do believe that maybe a song like this can easily, like we talked about, like the other one, be shut down just because it is telling too much truth in a world where they don't want that.
No. I was talking to my wife earlier today about like how rich people don't want to help poor people. Like they want to proactively prevent poor people from getting help in things. And like that this song came out 9 years ago and that is so applicable to the narrative today is a wild amount of forecasting and like premonition. It's crazy that this is a song that is almost 10 years old.
Right. No, exactly. Like it seems very, it could have come out yesterday, I think. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And the things they're saying, it's hard to ignore when it's thrown in your face. I feel like that's the other thing, is that it's like in spite of, I don't know, the whole thing about like, like believe what you see versus like, oh, that's not what people really mean, or that's not what's really happening, or like, let's try to justify or whatever. But like, no, it's
There's
like,
that line from 1984. It says, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. That's it. And I think that's where it's moving. And I think we're seeing it in real time. So maybe instead of this song getting canceled or the artist being silenced, it would be more like the song doesn't get airtime, and even if it did, they would probably dox the band members and make it all out to be a huge lie, and just reject everything that the song is saying, and put a spin on it and turn it all around, and a bunch of misinformation. I think a lot of things like that are what could possibly happen here.
I was just thinking that the song kind of reminded me of Clamp Down by The Clash. It's when Margaret Thatcher was elected, and the song just starts off and it just goes, "What are we gonna do now?" It's like about how the cops are about to start beating everybody up and throwing them in jail and stuff like that. And certainly there was,
The kingdom is ransacked and the jewels are all taken.
yeah, I think about Joe Strummer a lot right now, because they were they were a punk band that was anti-racist and pro working class in a period of time when British conservatism was about like belt tightening and punishing the working class, and wasn't keen on caring that much about multiculturalism. And they were in this like inhospitable environment, and they still did a lot of good as a rock band. And I think it's kind of inspiring. I think I kind of have a feeling that protest music during this period will get to be more and more important rather than being silenced or becoming insignificant. It's kind of like one of the remaining critical voices of Putin that's quite prominent is Pussy Riot, because they're unstoppable, and they'll replace their members with other people. They've become a collective, and they're very hard to like stamp out. And they're fucking badasses. Like that. That's amazing. Like they're fearless. And that kind of stuff, especially in the kind of environment that we live in, where it's, America's split 50-50 for the most part. It's like half of people don't like what's happening. At least, and probably even a little bit more than that. This kind of stuff will be increasingly important to mobilize that half of people.
Yeah, no, hopefully everybody starts to realize the impact on their own pocketbooks of the administration and the tariffs and all that nonsense.
He's just going to blame that on Joe Biden wrecking his good economy that he gave him. It's going to be.
Yeah, but I got all of my Trump supporter family to agree that anything that happens from now on, because they have all the branches of government, is on the Republicans. And so if it's great, they get all the credit. If it's terrible, it's your fault. And they've agreed to that because they think they're so convinced it's going to be great. So let's see it. You don't get to blame anybody else anymore.
If you could put a PowerPoint presentation to that for listener in the show notes so that we can all share that with our own families and convince them of that, that would be, I think, a huge benefit for everyone. So
that thing will work just for a little bit. Like if prices really go up, or if there's something terrible like stagflation, where basically like unemployment is kind of going up while prices are going up, like it's just a terrible thing. If that happens, then blaming Biden will only work for a couple of months. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like then everybody will be focused on what are you doing to fix this problem? I mean, at some point they will run into, we've just been through a 6-week information blitz, and it's probably going to keep lasting for weeks more. But that information blitz will eventually have to run in. Like right now, they're a reality TV show that's just doing and saying a bunch of stuff and doing a lot of showy, flashy things.
Yeah.
But at some point, they have to govern and pass budgets, and all that stuff will really start to make a difference. And they are doing things. Tariffs is a form of governing. it's protection. So let's see what happens. And it's just like but all of the elements that they're doing in their governing strategy don't gel together. Like it's not coherent. And so it could go in many different directions, and that reality will soon be upon everyone. And so then what is the question, you know? My point is you won't be able to lie about it forever.
Oh, you say that. I mean, I hope you're right. That much I hope you're right.
See, the thing is, like Putin lies and gets by on disinformation in a lot of respects, but he also, and it was a manipulation of oil and all this stuff, but he helped, like, people associate Putin with pulling Russia out of poverty, even though it's put them into an oligarchy where, like, the oligarchs control a vast amount of wealth. Like, it's ridiculous. If Trump comes in and the economy was like okay, but there was like maybe a little bit of inflation, and people like to complain about things like eggs, and then suddenly cars are $3,000 more expensive a pop, and fucking you're gonna run out of some stuff. Like the Canadians are talking about not shipping nickel to the US, like the metal, and then what does nickel go into? It's like, well, it goes into the brake pads and Tommy Boys, but other things too, you know? And so it's like, this stuff will start to cascade, and you can't just lie to people all day. I mean, you can, but it won't work forever if they're starting to run out of things, you know, and their lives do become appreciably more difficult, and there's not Medicaid to help them and all that stuff. Like, that's going to start to really piss people off.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Well, it's certainly uncertain what the future holds for all of us, I guess. But one thing that holds true, I think, is our next track. So our titular tit pick for today is going to come from one of my, it's my second, I guess, repeat of the year. This is from January 5th of 1987, and it is by the Beastie Boys, one of my all-time favorite bands. And their problematic track that we're going to listen to right now is a track called Brass Monkey off of their License to Ill album. All right, so that's a classic Beastie Boys track off of their first big major label, Def Jam record. This record produced a number of singles. This was the fifth of 7 singles on there. So Hold It Now, Hit It, Paul Revere, The New Style, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party, and then Brass Monkey was released as a single in January of 1987. And the song is definitely in that vein of the juvenile sort of persona they're trying to be, I don't know, making fun of, to be sardonic of, and talking about sort of that frat boy culture that they have since said that they're satirizing. This is a song they don't play live, or they didn't play live in the later part of their career. They obviously have not played shows since they stopped being a band.
Is that when they started dying?
Well, yeah, no, Adam Yauch died in 2012, and that was the last of the Beastie Boys. They did not continue beyond that. No, Mike D and Ad Rock did not continue beyond MCA's death. In their later years, as they started to do their concerts for a free Tibet and get more into MCA's sort of connection with Buddhism and trying to have a more of a worldview of empathy and things like that. They looked back on the early parts of their career to say like, okay, maybe this was a little bit problematic, and we want to be supportive of not just the Beastie Boys of our fan groups, but also the Beastie Girls, and create space for everybody to enjoy the music that we make and the hip hop that we do, and looking back on the lyrics of this song and the modality of it, it is very much about going to a party and hooking up with girls. And technically, Brass Monkey is a sort of a premix cocktail that existed from a company called the Hublin Company. It was sold in the 70s and the 80s. And it was made from a combination of secret liquors, as they so claim. And Ad Rock was the first one who got turned on to it. And when Rick Rubin signed them to Def Jam in '84, they were hanging out with the rapper T. La Rock and a DJ who worked with Rick Rubin named Jazzy J. And they passed this bottle around of Brass Monkey and said, this is delicious. So they wrote this song about it. The thing that gets maybe a little problematic is they talk about the Spanish fly, which is
it's a aphrodisiac.
But yeah, definitely something to change your inhibitions and make you more susceptible to being horny in situations where you might not be horny, and then also create opportunities for danger. So problematic in that regard. I think the thing for me with this song is that it's like, they played it on the radio for so long, like all the way. I don't know if they play it any longer, but like it's one that was maybe one of the Beastie Boys' like most known hits. Like when you think about Beastie Boys tracks you hear on the radio, like now it's Sabotage, but like back in the day, it was this and Paul Revere. Like I can't think of any other tracks that like I heard more in the 90s and early aughts.
But Dave, don't you think that you could still play? I mean, you could still come out with this song now.
Do I think they could still make this song now?
I mean, I think it's vague enough, right? Like he puts the Spanish fly in the cup and then like he hands it to the woman, and he doesn't say that he didn't put anything in there or he did. So I mean, like, I was just curious too. I went looking, and then I came across a Reddit page where someone said, "Man, that was a culture. If someone given me a drink that said I put Spanish fly in this, I would have fucking downed it." And it was a woman. So it's interesting.
Well, no, but he didn't tell her that he put Spanish fly in it. He mixed it in the cup.
He didn't. He was very vague. He didn't say if he did or he didn't. I mean, I think you could read into it one way or the other. And I'm not trying to be contrarian here.
My understanding is that the implication is that he did it on the sly, because he was looking to achieve a motive, because she took a sip, then she gave me lip, and now she's on my dick. Like,
yeah.
that's the progression, right? So like the goal is that he gets action, he gets play from this girl because he put Spanish fly in her drink. So I feel like that's problematic, and I don't feel like that's something that you could say in a song today. I don't think you could actively try to.
So let's say Spanish fly is real, and and you're able to get it, and it is not dangerous, like you die from it or whatever. It's not like bath salts or something, and you pour some in your drink, and you walk over to some woman who's like, "Yeah, you're kind of hot, whatever, it's cool." And then you're like, "Hey,
yo, baby, what's up? Sure,
I got this drink. It's got Spanish fly in there. Like, what do you think?" And she's like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Like, I wouldn't mind like feeling more aroused and then like fucking you, because women want to fuck at parties too, I think. So I think it could go both ways, just depending. I mean, if he doesn't tell her, then
No. I mean, in your example, yes, I think that that's fair. That like if you inform the person ahead of time, like, hey, like I put Molly in this drink. Like, do you want some? Because like then maybe we'll both be on Molly and fuck later. Like that's one thing. Like that's consensual. But to like put something in secret and then take it over and hand somebody a drink and say like, have a beer, but not tell them that there's Molly or ketamine or whatever.
no, understood. No, I totally get it. Like if he doesn't tell her, I just feel like it felt vague to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
I didn't think that it felt vague. I felt like it was, the implication was that they were doing something to gain an advantage.
Okay. No, I get it.
And to that point, I would say like this, you can't do that today.
With that, I am in complete agreement with you. Yes, that would be super uncalled for.
Yeah, you have to be, because like otherwise you're the rape guy on the podcast. You're like, yeah, I'm cool with rape. Then we don't. I mean, is that really what it would be? Like, I don't think so.
Isn't that already Jeff? I feel like we can't have two of us on this podcast.
Me? What?
All right,
What have
well,
I done?
Clearly, I am not the rape guy, so it's between you guys to figure out which one of you is.
Clearly not the one.
Because it's between you two, obviously.
You love Tim McGraw and you were singing, dude, it's so late here. But I quit.
I don't even know how to spell Tim McGraw, so listen.
Oh man, you know what's funny? Do you know what Tim McGraw's dad's name is? It's Tug McGraw.
Tug McGraw. I bet you tug your dad off.
Is his name really Tug McGraw?
I believe it is, yeah. 100%.
That's fucking genius, dude.
My thing with this song, and I think it's maybe a little bit of a tough line to walk, because like where do we align with allowing people to learn and grow and redeem themselves? So like at what point do the Beastie Boys get to look back on their career and say, hey, like we were really juvenile when we wrote this song, and like we don't really actually align with the things that we said here or believe in this, and we're not going to play at our show anymore. We're actually going to write some songs that are very pro all people, women and men, and you know, like what's the line? Because like we have, you know, you look at the comics of today that have been canceled in the last 10 years. You know, you look at Louis C.K. and like at what point do people get to say, I made a mistake and I want to move on and do something different? I mean, obviously they have to physically actively do something different. The Beastie Boys did. They went on and made music that was very inclusive, that supported their ideas, that they're moving past this juvenile point. And you know, for comics to do that, Louis C.K. would also have to then pursue comedic, you know, ideas that were not so possessive or power dynamic driven.
Well, and race driven. I mean, he's got a lot going on there that he definitely is not. He's definitely not shying away from that. He's leaning into it, I think.
Like, when do you move on, or like when do you allow people to move on, and like when do you what's the context that you forgive?
I mean, I think an apology doesn't do it. Like, you know, let's go back to actions speak louder than words. And so,
yeah,
if you said so, the Beasties, okay, well, we made a mistake. We did this. This is who we are. We're not those people anymore. And now watch us do this different thing for 15 more years. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I guess we believe you. So we can be okay with it, versus like, hey, I'm sorry that I was, you know, like masturbating in front of you when you didn't want me to. And now I'm going to do a bunch of jokes that are still like beyond the line that I got in trouble for crossing in the first place. You know, where like maybe some people can get away with those jokes, but you can't be like a repeat offender, I don't think.
Right. So Beastie Boys didn't say, hey, this isn't really a song that represents us anymore, but like, here's a Paul Oakenfold remix of it, and like, let's get this in the clubs kind of thing.
But I just think they're an interesting example of like evolving, because they had that, like Anthony Kiedis hasn't evolved. He was dating 14-year-olds and now he's dating 19-year-olds. But like Adam Horowitz, you know, Ad Rock is is married to Kathleen Hanna from Bikini Kill, which is like one of the punkest, feminist, kick the shit out of men motherfucking bands in the world.
Yep.
Like, to me, that's all I really need to know. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how does she think about that song? She probably is like, this is juvenilia. This is stupid, you know?
Right. This doesn't represent the person that I'm married to. Yeah.
But you can evolve.
Are we learning something new and discovering that like what we were doing was problematic or like something that was inconsistent with morality or values versus were we an asshole to begin with and like just taking advantage of the freedoms that assholes had back then?
Yeah, I mean, I think second chances are definitely available. I think, but you have to earn them.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us today here at Six Picks Music Club. Thanks for hanging out, listener. I got to go take a bleach shower, I think. But before we go, I'm going to check the mailbag and see what listener wrote in. We got one here from Kyle in Kyle, and he writes, "Hey, dummies. Real cool to bring on the dude who lost family in the Wuhan flu and then make fun of him for it. Bunch of snowflake pussies like y'all ought to stick to real jobs because this podcast ain't ever gonna make money. So quit pegging yourselves and go do real man work. Anyway, listen to Big Frida's track, I Am, with Macy Gray. She's genius."
Oh, God. I do love a scathing review and still a song pick. Thanks for following the format, motherfucker. That's awesome.
It's still a solid song rec.
I don't think we're under any illusions about the money, but we are still all very much employed. And yeah, I mean, I think we will give that Big Frida track, Macy Gray track, a spin on the way out the door. I really didn't expect that recommendation after reading the first part of your email, but good on you for having an open mind.
So he thinks that we're snowflakes, but he's saying that we should be less offensive at the same time. It's an inconsistency.
Listen, Kyle from Kyle is an enigma, as they say.
Yeah.
In the listener world.
Wrapped in a hot dog bun.
It's a wild ride. But anyway, thanks for listening, and as always, just play it loud and keep jamming. This episode of Six Picks Music Club was produced by Alada Vagina. Edited by Peter File. With special thanks to Dixie Rex.
Let me